million men on a full-scale war footing in the Gulf after President Saddam Hussein ignored the United Nations deadline to pull out of Kuwait. An eerie quiet descended over the Iraqi capital Baghdad as its citizens awaited attack. In Washington, aides of President George Bush said the Allied offensive was likely to be launched sooner rather than later. The Soviet Deputy Foreign Minister said Moscow was pursuing intensive diplomatic contacts with Iraq, urging it to show even minimum flexibility to avert war. Across the United States and Europe, people held candlelit vigils praying for peace. In Saudi Arabia, where the anti-Iraqi forces are massed, the weather was cold and cloudy. Among those at the front line, troops from the British 4th Armoured Brigade finalised their training for an attack.
In many ways, the day the UN deadline expired is just another day in the desert for Britain's soldiers in the front line. After weeks and months preparing for war thousands of miles from home, there's a daily routine here. At this base of the 4th Armoured Brigade, the cooks are the first up, firing up their stoves, preparing breakfast for soldiers making the most of their last few minutes in warm sleeping bags before facing a cold desert morning. But as the deadline approached, small groups gathered around their radios, awaiting the news that could send them to war.
If the Bush administration decides to go to war, I don't think there is anything the Soviet Union could do to prevent it.
Young soldiers yet to experience the reality of war, now resigned to the prospect.
Time's dragged over Christmas. When we arrived just before Christmas, and time dragged over Christmas, everything seemed to get really more and more realistic as we go on. And everybody starts, well, everybody's been light-hearted about everything, because that's where you are when you're so far from home.
Everybody just wants to basically get in, get it done, and go on. That's the general feeling. Everyone feels that we're ready enough.
I think we're saying should get out, and we're here just to get in now. If you won't leave, you know, first we're in, get it out. That's as far as I'm concerned. Get home, live life.
The commander says he's confident his men are ready.
I don't think they look forward to it. I think the mood in the brigade, which you will hear, as I hear every day, is, for heaven's sake, let's now get on with it and get home quickly. And I feel that, and my men feel that.
The 4th Armoured Brigade only arrived in Saudi Arabia last month. For the time being, they'll continue with their programme of exercises and manoeuvres, knowing that at any time their war games could be interrupted by the real thing. This is Paul Davis with the British Television News Pool in eastern Saudi Arabia.